getting started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm very pleased to call us to order. And I believe the first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the November 11th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the minutes are approved. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica for our outreach and engagement updates.
Thank you, Molly. Good morning, everyone. Okay, let's share the screen. Okay.
We can see your screen, Jess.
Thank you. All right, so I wanted to start with just giving an overview of the paid digital campaign that we are running in coordination with all of our other media efforts, and just give you a report on how that campaign performed in November, which was the first full month that we kicked it off. So we delivered over 270,000 impressions. We targeted the cities of Bridgeport, Stamford, Waterbury, Hartford, and New Haven, and we did that just because we wanted to make sure that we made a concentrated effort in the areas where we thought we most needed to make an impact. Demographics were employed individuals who are interested in paid leave, and the way those folks were determined was through various other sort of lifestyle and search history and characteristics. So for example, we were able to target women who were expecting. We were able to target people who were likely to be caregivers of older adults and things like that. The greatest number of impressions was delivered in New Haven, which indicates that that's where the greatest number of those folks that we were targeting were able to be reached. The areas where we saw the greatest click-through rates on our clickable inventory, and not everything was clickable, because some things like the connected TV or the ads that would show up on streaming services are obviously not clickable if you're watching them on a large screen TV. But of the inventory that was clickable, we saw the greatest people taking that action and clicking on the ad to get to our site in Stamford and Bridgeport, which tied for the #1 spot, and New Haven in the 3rd place spot. No surprise, but the greatest click-through rate by device was on mobile. So that indicates to us that it's very important that we make sure all of our ads are mobile friendly. Our video pre-roll ads had a 56% completion rate, and that means people who watch 100% of the video. So we had about an 85% completion rate to 25%, and then declined a bit from there, which is normal. Even the 25% completion rate, I think, is a great statistic, because even if people weren't getting all the way to the end of our ad, they were still being exposed to our name. And that's oftentimes, I think of digital ads as almost like billboards on the internet. Sometimes you don't get the whole message, but you're making an impression. But we will continue to monitor that with our partner who's delivering this campaign, and make adjustments in order to increase that completion rate to 100% as much as possible. CTV ads had completion rates ranging from 93 to 96%. Obviously, as I mentioned, if someone is watching this on their sort of traditional television, there's not the ability to click, but if they are watching something on their phone, for example, there is that ability. So that's where those stats come from. And then the streaming audio, the platforms where ads were delivered that had the highest engagement rate were on Spotify, Bloomberg, a platform called Spreaker, which is a podcast platform, and then the streaming audio portion of Hot 93.7, which is Nancy's alma mater. The next thing that I wanted to review and bring you some awareness of is what we're doing for small businesses. So we had a meeting with the benefits team last week and talked about how we can continue to and enhance our support of small businesses as we get into this implementation of the program. So we decided the best way to go would be to send out a survey, which we developed in coordination, with the goal of gaining insights into what small businesses would like to know, as well as the manner in which they would prefer to receive their information. So we sent that out last Friday. As of yesterday, at the end of the day, we had already received 95 responses, which I thought was great. The list of people we sent it to were businesses who had attended one of our webinars, we're able to filter that to identify what we're considering small businesses, which is less than 75 employees, since we know that those are the folks that have not had to deal with FMLA in the past. And then we were also able to identify some businesses who are registered with Connecticut Paid Leave who also fall under that threshold. CBIA we asked if they would send that link out, and they graciously agreed to send it out to their members in 2 different newsletters. We also shared it on our social media, and we shared it with the chambers of commerce throughout the state and asked them to send it out as well. And the link is right there just in case you're interested in seeing the survey. And I can send that out to you afterwards as well. If you do have any small businesses you would like to circulate it to, that would be very much appreciated. I just wanted to provide some early insights. Obviously, it's been not even a week, but I did want to just bring you up to speed on the information that folks have given us so far. So over 75% of the respondents indicated that they do have someone at their business that they have designated to handle the Connecticut Paid Leave process. One thing we were considering was developing a small business newsletter, and 67% of people said that they would like to receive that. And the general consensus seemed to be that monthly would be the appropriate cadence for that. 82% of the respondents felt that our website had useful information for their small business. 80% said that they were either somewhat likely or very likely to attend a webinar. So that just reaffirms for us that we do need to continue with those webinars, which was already our plan. And we have learned that the time preference for these small business owners is 9 a.m. to noon. The top 3 ways we gave people 7 options of how they would like to receive their information, and we asked them to rank them. So the top 3 ways people indicated were through our website, through pre-recorded materials like YouTube videos or recorded webinars that they could access on their own schedule, and then live webinars where they had the opportunity for Q&A. And then we also asked about the top media that people used at least 3 times per week, just to gauge if where we are using our advertising dollars is the right place to be, and also if there were other areas where we should consider. So the top 3 were Facebook, FM radio, and local TV news. And then the top 3 topics that small businesses would like more information about: their responsibilities as an employer, documents and information from us that they can provide directly to their employees, and then further information about the reasons that workers can apply for benefits. So we'll continue to monitor this. We're going to leave the survey open for several more days, but in my experience, most people who are going to respond do so within the first week. But as I said, CBIA was sending this out this week to their members. So we'll leave it open for about another week, and then we'll do another analysis of the information and come up with our plan from there. We also really want to, in January and moving forward, focus on our social media and ways to increase the presence, the engagement, the followers. So I was brainstorming yesterday with Nancy and Jacqueline, and we came up with the thought of a campaign called I Love Paid Leave Because. So what we're thinking, and this is still in the early stages, but I'd really love anyone's feedback on ways to improve upon this or other ideas. We thought maybe we can get some signs printed with that I Love Paid Leave Because, and then have it sort of like on a dry erase where people can write in their reason, and then take that to different events that we're at and photograph workers, business owners, legislators who support paid leave, and start to post those on our social media. Because we know that if an individual is posted on social media, then that helps it spread. So we have seen our engagement steadily increasing, which is great, but we really want to build on that momentum. The other thing that we're thinking of is beginning a series of Facebook Live events starting in January, where we can focus on different topics and appeal to different groups. And so this won't take the place of our full-length webinars, but it'll be sort of more digestible, short 10, 15 minutes of information that people can access on their own time. We know that even if they don't watch it while it's happening live, then we post it to our page, it lives on, and then also share it with the individuals that we're talking with, whether we have a series that a segment that focuses on family violence, for example. Whoever our partner is that we're talking with posts it to their page, and hopefully it will grow from there. So those are a couple of our thoughts in terms of our social media usage. And I really did want to see, and that's the end of my presentation. So I really did want to see if you all had any thoughts about how we can improve upon that. I think it was about 2 months ago, I had gotten some great suggestions as far as looking into Metro North and the Inquiring News, and that was really helpful. So if you have any ideas for us, we would definitely welcome them. And I'm happy to answer any other questions about anything in the presentation as well.
It sounds awesome. One thought that I had is I think the whiteboard approach for the iHeart Paid Leave is great, but I wonder if you could pair that with having a printable version and then ask partners to ask members to do that. So Quelp, I assume would do that. You could ask labor partners, you could ask business partners, particularly just as people are going to fewer events and it's getting cold. That might be a way to just flesh out to go along with the stuff that you're already doing with the whiteboard, so you can get it both from folks who are at events and folks who aren't. And I suspect there's a lot of low-hanging fruit on that of folks who'd be happy to do that.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. Ava?
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go. So I was wondering, what's our protocol for the first two people? Was it 419, 413 who already signed up? So that number of people who already signed up, what's the protocol once they're done with the leave to outreach to them, follow up with them on their experience? Is there a survey created? Because we can use all those materials for marketing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Andrea.
Were you asking about the claims?
The claims, the actual claims.
All right, yeah.
I think that's a great point, and I love the idea of doing a survey. We had not developed that yet, but I think that's wonderful, because one thing that we have been talking about doing once we have some time under our belt, if you will, is trying to identify people who would be willing to share their story and allow us to use it. And so I don't know, in terms of the privacy and things like that, which I think Andrea might be able to address, how we can go about doing that, but we certainly would like to identify people that we can feature in our outreach.
Yeah, so I'm assuming through HIPAA laws, we can't directly contact them, calling them, say, what did you think? Yeah. But if we have their email information and we keep it general, a message saying you're on the list of someone who filed the claim, we would like your feedback, and then go from there. They self-select.
Mm-hmm. Andrea, did you want to add to that?
I do. So contractually, AFLEC sends a survey to everyone who files a claim. Anyway, we negotiated that, and it's there's an industry specific name for the survey, but essentially it's very short. It's 3 or 4 questions about their claims experience. So we should probably just circle back to AFLEC to see whether or not anybody who's responded to that survey would be willing to provide a testimonial, because we wanted to know pretty early on whether or not people were satisfied with the claims experience. So that's already built into the process. We can just dig a little bit further to see how that goes. I mean, it's a little early right now because the claims process is only successful if you get your benefit. Right? So it's the only thing that really matters. So if your claim is denied, even though the person was very polite to you, that's going to have a different outcome. So we will see, but we can follow up on that. I'd rather not create a separate. My point was I'd rather not create a separate survey stream since we already have one that's built into what we're doing.
Okay, any other questions on anything or thoughts, suggestions? All right, great. Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to give Jacqueline the floor and just see, I know she had some thoughts and brainstorming about her legislative outreach. And so I wanted to give her an opportunity to speak with you all about that.
Thank you, Jessica, and hello, everybody. I think that it's nice to see Ava and Justin, who are people that I know outside of work as well. So hello, and I had a wonderful conversation with Molly as well, who gave me really good info on what's happening on the federal scene. So thank you for that. And CJ and Adrienne, hello. But I am working on, getting up to speed on the legislative scene and what is coming down the pike. I know a couple of issues have been identified that we're going to poke into regarding bereavement leave and some contradicting statutes that don't allow people to accept funding from more than one state program. So it's more stuff that we're poking into to see what it's about, what changes need to be made. And I also have done some outreach to Representative Aurora. He wanted to see a demo of the system. So I'm just waiting to hear back from him on that. It's kind of nice. I know his aide from my former state service life. So it's nice to reconnect with people and hear how they're doing. So I'm following up today because he likes to set his own calendar and I haven't heard, so which I understand. So I was like, I'm just going to give it a little bit of time and not be like, which I do. But so I'm like, it's Thursday. It's been almost a week. You can. So I follow up back on that today. But I just wanted to see. I know. I'm hoping to do more engaging legislators more in the social media aspect, just to help spread the message a little bit, because when you tag them, it goes to a lot of different audiences. So we were talking about that yesterday, and they love to have their faces on things. So we use it to our advantage, right? So we'll be doing a lot of outreach on that, but I wasn't sure if anybody had any concerns or thoughts on anybody in particular, or things that they're hearing circulating out there, or any suggestions at all. And it's been a wonderful first 2 weeks here. So I have to thank the staff and everybody, board members, have just been so welcoming. It's been nice. So I don't know if there's anything that I can help with. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to welcome you again to the team. We're so excited to have you. I will say, I think if any, on any of the legislative pieces that you're poking around on, like, let me know if I can be helpful. Like those all sound like things that have come up in a number of states.
Yeah.
We've worked in, like, bereavement, I think, has been discussed in every state and nobody's quite pulled the trigger yet.
Okay.
But that's been a discussion, and we have some thoughts on approaches, relationship to other state benefits. Connecticut has a pretty distinctive approach, and I actually have resources on what other states are doing that might be helpful. So just let us know what's helpful. And I will say, I think on the targeting legislators, it sounds like we might get some legislators to do an iHeart paid leave social media post. I think, thinking about our strong champions for sure, but I think that seems like a reasonable thing to ask and is in line with particularly the folks who worked really hard to get it done. And
they love, I just, in my other jobs, they love to do stuff like that. And that's, we were thinking that it would be a good way to kind of help push that forward and expand the reach. So, yeah. But yeah, and you're on my list, Molly, to circle back and have a conversation, because that was a really good one that we had. So I know you've got a lot of info.
Since then.
Yeah.
None of it good, but
Thank you.
I also want to volunteer and say, if you have any legislators that you're trying to get a hold of, here to help. The board, honestly, unlike any other board I've been on, is very active. Not active in a way that we interfere with the work of the staff, but always here to help and volunteer and support the work of the staff. So do not shy from calling us and interacting with us. Going back to a comment that you said about the conflicting subsidies amount being used, I'm really interested in that conversation, considering that this is not a state subsidy, so there shouldn't be any conflict. So if there is room to have board members in that conversation, let me know. I'd want to be part of that conversation.
So Jacqueline, if you don't mind, if you don't mind
Sure.
addressing it more specifically.
Yep.
So yesterday, Erin and I had an opportunity to have a conversation with the Office of Victim Services so that we could really understand what the interaction is between the services and the wage compensation that they provide to victims of crime, and what a person might apply for and receive through paid family medical leave. So if a person is a victim of a crime and they then suffer what would be considered a serious health condition as a result of that victimization, they could potentially be eligible for a paid family medical leave benefit. But the Office of Victim Services also provides wage replacement if a person misses work as a result of being the victim of a crime. So now we're trying to determine how does that work the way that our statute is written, because our statute specifically says you can't receive these benefits concurrently. So if you're receiving wage compensation from the Office of Victim Services, and you're also receiving a benefit from the Paid Leave Authority, both of which you're entitled to, because of the very unfortunate circumstance that has arisen, is that what we really intended? And what is the definition of concurrently? So could you get your paid leave benefit first, and then could the Office of Victim Services supplement, because they provide 100% of wage replacement as opposed to our program rate, which caps it at the 60 times the minimum wage, and is concurrent retroactive? So if let's say, for example, the person gets the 700, let's go to the max right now, the $780 for the 3 weeks of wages that they've lost because of the result of their having been a victim of a crime. And then the Office of Victim Services provides them with the difference between the 780 and what it is that they get. Is that considered another state program that they're receiving benefits for concurrently? So the question is, what is that really what we intended to do? So you don't realize that until you start actually implementing the law. You're thinking, well, wait a minute, we certainly don't want to give a victim of a crime less compensation than they should be entitled to because they've already had a horrific experience. But does our statute's language inadvertently create a different outcome than probably what was intended? Because reading the legislative history, I think what we intended is to not have a person be overly compensated, receive more than 100% if they're receiving, in particular, unemployment benefits and workers' compensation benefits at the same time. But it's written so broadly that it encompasses all of the rest of these benefits that we don't necessarily think of as top of mind, and it can have an adverse effect on people, especially, crime victims. And so then our next discussion is with the Office of the Victim Advocate to have a similar discussion about what they may offer as well. So that's, as an example, of what we're dealing with. And then the other is if a person is permanently partially disabled and they're still working, and this is in the workers' compensation world, and they're contributing to the paid leave plan, we specifically say you can't get workers' compensation benefits and paid leave at the same time. But did we really mean to exclude people who are working because they're permanently partially disabled? Is that what we really meant to do? And part of me thinks, I don't think so. We really want to encourage people to be at work and contribute to the plan and not exclude them. But the way the language is currently drafted, any benefit excludes you. And I don't think that's what we intended to do. So those are two examples. I have a whole lot more, but those are really the two right now, that really, that give us pause, when we think about what was the statutory intent and what does it really look like when you're implementing the statute itself.
That's good clarification, because my mind honestly went straight to food stamps, different other stuff. There's so many different programs for families out there that it's kind of terrifying if other programs are in jeopardy.
Well, and that's a great question, because we're also asking ourselves, so does it apply to working families who are receiving DSS benefits, for example? As you said, they're receiving SNAP, because now it means you get any other state benefit, you're done. I don't think that's what we meant to do. Yeah. So that's definitely something that, Jacqueline and I are going to start to work on and really crystallize so that we can give specific examples of who might be excluded, and then really just try to work on some clarification of the statutory language, because these are folks who are working right now. They're contributing to the fund, and we don't want to say to them, because you're receiving other benefits to sustain your family, you're excluded from participating in the paid leave program benefit. I don't think that's the outcome we were looking for.
No, you don't want to tell a woman who just had her first child, oh, great, congratulations, you had your first child, you're on leave, and that food that you need, not on the table anymore.
Right. Yeah.
That is insane.
Don't think that's what we meant to do. Right.
But the offer still stands in that conversation. If any of these probing questions lead to legislation change, hearing, and testimony, definitely count on us in trying to get people there to support those changes. But thank you for letting us know.
Yeah. And I will say on workers' comp specifically, I actually have pulled the language for how workers' comp is addressed in every other state paid leave law. And I think I agree that I think just the statutory language is less nuanced than would be ideal. And I think I think there's lots of ways to tweak that in a way that I think would accomplish the intended goal without accomplishing these unintended results. And so just keep us posted on how we can help.
That'd be great. I think I know that and Michael and I have been working on identifying those sections of the statute that we think need clarification. So we'll just continue to refine that, and then Molly will probably be calling you.
I have lots of thoughts on this topic.
Are businesses asking about the workers' comp? I would assume that we're hearing from businesses on that issue.
Some are, but this actually was internally driven, because we just started asking the question, how is it just such a blanket prohibition? It doesn't, because we know people who are receiving their benefit and working and contributing to the fund. So we haven't had it raised by a business, but I'm sure it's coming.
Other questions for Declan or anything else in this general vicinity? Great. Jessica, was there anything else you were planning on raising?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
Great. With that, I believe officially what is on our agenda next is to ask if there's any old business anyone would like to return to. Okay. Hearing none, is there any new business anyone would like to raise? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Thanks. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Any opposed to adjourning, please say nay. Any abstentions from the vote to adjourn? I believe the ayes have it. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And again, to the whole team, please, not only don't hesitate, but feel welcomed and invited to come and call upon all of us for any resources we can provide.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And since we want to happy holidays and
Happy
happy New
holidays.
Year, and we'll see you in
Thank you.
January.
January.
Happy holidays.
See you
Take care,
next year.
Bye.
Bye.
everyone. Bye.